Hello there, my neighbors. I hope every single one of you is having a blessed day. Today we are going to do our very first video on a Legendary Lord playthrough. The goal is to review Legendary Lords in Warhammer 3 on whether playing them is fun, engaging, and that the difficulty doesn't hinder the enjoyment. This is not a guide on them. We are playing on a very hard campaign and very hard battle difficulty. Our first one will be going over Karl, Franz, Emperor of the Empire of Man. So load those barrels, pet those demigryphs, and let's summon some electric counts. Karl Franz is the very first legendary lord that appears when you boot up Immortal Empires. His faction effects give plus 10 relations with the Empire, plus 2 recruit rank for lords, and plus 10 movement speed range for all armies. His lord effects give minus 25% upkeep for Reiksguard and Greatswords, and plus 8 leadership to the entire army. This ensures his front line will be filled with elite infantry and that they will hold the line. His skills in game buff Greatswords and Reiksguard even more. The Empire race plays as a jack of all trades, master of none. They have a bit of everything but no true experts. Mostly they involve a ranged playstyle with a mix of hammer and anvil, bringing the enemy to them with ranged, holding them with elite infantry while the enemy gets rear charged by cavalry. Karl Franz himself is exceptionally strong when equipped with all of his skills and gear. I utilize him on Deathclaw to charge the back lines once the lines were engaged, or as a large entity killer. Karl Franz is tough and can do a lot of damage in melee, while being mobile and buffing his men within 35 meters. The Empire also has access to several Lords of Magic, letting you get creative with your spellcasting. Karl Franz begins outside of the Empire capital, Altdorf, facing off against secessionists who didn't agree on who was voted into office. He starts off with a mortar, 2 handguns, 1 Reiksguard, 1 Greatsword, 1 Halberdier, 2 swordsmen. Not a bad start, all things considered. If you play as Gringathay or Kislev, they are played as the Great Bulwark or defense holding off the hordes of chaos. Karl Franz focuses on uniting the Empire of Man to eventually crusade against all evil. If you want to play as the good guys, this is objectively that campaign. The Imperial lands are surrounded by all manners of fel and foul. You have Kemmler and his undead to the west, Vlad and Isabella building up their vampiric forces for the inevitable offensive from the southeast. Beastmen roam freely in your lands. Festus corrupts and ransacks the midlands of your empire. Norscan tribes storm the beaches of Nordland. Skaven scurry and ambush from Hell Pit. And the Tides of Chaos and Demons are building up their attack from the northeast and will eventually overrun Kislev. You, as Emperor, are charged with reclaiming your imperial lands through diplomacy or hostile takeovers, building up your forces to fight this evil tide and take the fight to them. I was enthralled with this entire campaign and felt like I was truly overcoming evil. I was uniting my fellow Imperials under one banner, and the atmosphere felt as though I was truly building an empire from among the ashes of despair and hopelessness. I was really in this fight and wanted to keep pushing. There was some difficulty that came with having threats from all directions, but Karl Franz had the economic backbone to support his wars and an effective blue skill tree that would improve it even more. When it comes to very hard campaign, I almost always take the blue skill tree first. Lightning strikes against multiple armies is imperative, and the reduced upkeep and increased replenishment rate helps mitigate the difficulty spike. The difficulty never felt like it was hindering my experience, but instead bolstering it. The new and improved diplomacy menu for Warhammer 3 makes Karl Franz even better. In Warhammer 2, it was painful trying to get all of the realms of men and sometimes dwarves to side with you. Now it is clear and concise what it will take to get the Order Tide factions to be on your side. You'll also make a fair amount of money from balancing these offers. Karl Franz also has the electoral machination system, which you can spend prestige for diplomatic relations with elector counts. It is important you keep your relations and fealty account with the Imperials high to avoid detrimental effects in civil war between everyone. I found it necessary to always keep 1,000 prestige saved to prevent civil wars and declarations of independence. The improved alliance targeting system also is very helpful with combating the forces of chaos and making sure your AI allies aren't making a fool of themselves and that they're supporting your needs. The short victory doesn't feel so far away. You just need 30 occupied settlements and the death of Festus, Kemmler, Vlad, and Isabella, and the secessionists. You'll be testing your faith, steel, and gunpowder against these foes. Anyway, so the victory doesn't feel out of the way. And correction on that victory condition, you technically don't have to kill Festus, only Kemmler, Vlad, and Isabella, and secessionists. My bad on that one. To conclude all of this, I have to say I recommend Karl Franz's campaign. This campaign is engaging and not overburdened by unfun difficulty. It knows you want to summon the electric counts and gives you all the resources and trials to accomplish this feat. You will take the fight to chaos and unite the realms of men under one true banner. Only downside is it takes a lot of commitment to push through to the victory conditions without starting a new campaign. I thank every single one of you for attending our very first campaign review. I plan on doing a review of every single lord throughout Warhammer 3's lifespan. If you wish to see more like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for discussion so you can improve our standing on the algorithm. Love each other, and as always, come be my neighbor.
Summon the Elector Counts!